Sounds like a nice day.
You're living in the food channel. Great. What is that? Oh, the chicken? Beer chicken?
That's the beer can. It's actually a beer can this week because Rucky's getting mad that she has to clean the pot and it gets so dirty. And that's a half of a whole brisket.
A half of a whole brisket. Is that covered this week's parsha? Chatzi nezek nezek shalom. All right.
Yaakov, they're both roiv. This half, another half, according to Rabbi, they're both roiv. Each one is roiv.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay, so we said yesterday we're about 10, 12 lines up from the wide lines on Pei Gimel Amud Aleph. So we said yesterday. So we were talking about what's considered that it's basis, that if you have a bone from the korban pesach or any other kodshim and it has meat on it, so then the bone gets the kedusha also. So we asked the stira, and then we said no, it depends if the korban was tamei from the beginning, like Gershon pointed out, from like Rashi said, zrika. If it was tamei from the zrika of the dam, so then it's you're allowed to break the bone, right? But if it was tahar and then became tamei, then you're allowed. Then it's not allowed to. Fine. So now, how do we know that we differentiate between a korban that was once tahar and then became tamei, or that was tamei from the beginning? So mantana, yeah, you have it around 10 wide lines up. Mantana deshani le ben shahais le shasa kosher le loy le shasa kosher. Who's the tana that differentiates between this? Rabbi Yaakov. So it's Rabbi Yaakov the tani ve'etzem le sishberu bay. Don't break a bone. So what are we learning out? Bay the kosher will be b'pasal. Bay tells you only a kosher, only when the korban is kosher, that's when you're not allowed to break the bone, but not by pasal. Rabbi Yaakov Omer, Haisaloi shasa kosher v'nisal yesh by mishum shviras ha'etzem. If it had a shasa kosher and then became pasal, then it has the problem of breaking the bone. But if it doesn't have a shasa kosher, then there's no issur of breaking the bone. Both situations don't have shviras ha'etzem. There's no problem with breaking the bone. Right? So basically, we have three-way machlokes tanoim b'negeya to breaking the bone of a korban that's pasal. It's either always okay, it's either never okay, or depending on if it started off tar and then ended off tamei. So meisvei, when it's a kasha, kol hatzamis hakodshim ain't tunin tzreifa. All bones of kodshim don't need tzreifa, chutz me'atzmis pesach, except for the bones of the korban pesach because we're afraid that somebody's going to mess it up. Right? Since if you break the bones of a korban pesach, so then it becomes you're going to be over. So therefore, we don't want you burning the bones. But all the bones of other korbanos you don't have to. As a matter of fact, in the Zvachim it says that you can even make kalim out of the bones of korbanos. Right, so what's the case of these bones? If it doesn't have any marrow, what do you need to burn it for? Even by korban pesach. That is therefore a must have mayach. And if you think that the bone is considered part of nosar, meaning if there's mayach in it, kodshim, so then how come if it's a bone of kodshim and it has marrow in it, that means marrow is food, right? The mayach is food. So therefore, and we're saying if there's food attached to the bones get the kedusha, so then you should have to burn it, right? So elamai, what would be your teretz? That it doesn't have the bone doesn't have kedusha, so you just take out the marrow and then you're fine. So that's the kasha. Right, a very unique case. It's talking about where you found broken bones. You found them chalutzin broken and no marrow in them. So atzma is kodshim. So bones of kodshim that there's no problem with breking the bones. Before they became nosar, we assumed that they were broken before they became nosar. And the mela, since they were emptied of the marrow before they became nosar, so then it doesn't have a din of nosar. and it doesn't need sreifa. But if it's a bone that comes from korban pesach, that is an isser to break its bone. The basar didn't have a nosar who dechaltzinu, so must be nobody's going to break the bone before it became nosar because that's crazy. Then they're going to be chayav malchus. That's aseh. So must be if you find a pile of broken bones, must be that they broke it afterwards. So then it was broken afterwards. So then there was marrow in there. And that marrow was nosar. Memela, the bone becomes a basis to that. Ubal sreifa, and therefore they're going to need sreifa. So that's how we would answer the stira between the korban pesach, bones of the korban pesach, and bones of other korbanos. Rav Zira Amar Hochamay Askinan. Rav Zira has a different territory. We're talking about kagoin shematzu. Now we're on Tamei Beis. Shematz on tziburin. They found it in piles, right? And you searched the top. Rashi says, and what happened was you looked at the top bones. You had a pile of bones. You don't know what's going on at the bottom of the bones, but on the top of the bones, you checked them and you found that they were broken open. And there were some that were broken, but there's nothing on the bottom. I mean, you didn't check the bottom. Kodshim. So if they're bones of kodshim, so there's no isser to break bones of other korbanos l'kulu, havachalatlu va'achalu. So we're going to assume that he must have broken the whole pile of bones and eaten them. And it doesn't need sreifa because these bones, like we said, bones don't need sreifa, only the marrow that's in the bones. Pesach, but the bones of the korban pesach, the yesh memeshim shviras adzum, that there isn't isser to break the bones. Maybe the top ones were broken, but maybe he didn't break the bottom ones because he's afraid. And therefore they're going to need sreifa. So therefore, you have to look at the whole thing of bones and figure out if they were broken or not. Okay, so I'm going to review them. Okay, so that's the end of that sugya of the breaking of the bones. We're going to get back to the sugya of breaking bones tomorrow, Bez Hashem. And now we have a different sugya. Yeah.
Why don't we say aseh doche says?
Oh, very good. It's going to be tomorrow's daf or Sunday's daf or Monday's daf. One of the three.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
If you don't think it's becoming cholent in my head, that it's cholent. But it's the Gemara's mamish going to ask that same kasha.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So very good. So I'm going to review the Marav. Kola gidin, basa. What about what do we touch gidin? The gid anasha. Sinews. Okay, I would touch it sinews, but I have no idea what a sinew is. Right? So it's not. I know it's not that piece of fat. All the meat became on here. So
it's a ligament and a tendon.
Where's the doctor?
I'm saying, what does it look like when I have my piece of meat?
We're not sure what you're insinuating.
Have you ever eaten a turkey leg?
I've eaten a turkey leg. You mean those?
So you know those things that like stick out in a turkey leg when you eat a turkey leg that you can't bite through?
That's why I never eat a turkey leg ever.
It's very similar to that.
It's what is it, like a little like a string or something like that?
It connects the muscles to each other and pulls on the muscles.
I hear. Okay, so I guess the reason why we don't have it in meat is because it doesn't. You're not allowed to, right? So they clear everything out, anyways. But chicken, yeah. Okay, whatever it is. So these sinews, are they considered meat or not? Right? So meaning, what's the shaila? So we said that you have to have groups for the korban pesach. So, and they tried to fit as many people into one animal as possible. So of course they probably had that gabbai back then who knew exactly how to split it up, and he had his charts and who's getting which kezayis, this, that. But the question is, can you count somebody on the korban pesach with the gidin? Right? So if they're considered basar, so you can count them on that. If it's not considered basar and it's just a bone, bones you can't count them on because bones are not food. So what's the story? So Rav says, Kala gidin basar, all gidin are basar, chutz migidei tzavar, except for the ones on the neck, right? Because it's so rough. Rashi says it's so tough. I'm sorry, right? Tough is the lashon meat. Since it's so tough, you can't possibly consider that food, right? So that's the shaila. So Tanan, that's the shaila. That's what he says. So all gidin are considered. You can count people on that, which means that they're edible. Right? Otherwise, how can you count them? How can you count them as food? But we'll see in the Gemara Vayta. So Tanan hatzamas v'agidin. So Gemara is going to ask a kasha from a Mishna. Hatzamas v'agidin v'anoser yisifu b'tes zayin. So we said that the bones and the gidim and the nosar, you burn it on the 16th day. Hani gidin hechi dami. What type of gidin are we talking about in the Mishnah? Ilam gidei basar. If it's gidei basar, nachlinu. Why are we saying burn them? Eat them. Meaning, obviously, if they become nosar, you have to burn them. Or why are we saying burn them in the first place? Eat them. Vidi taisar hainu nosar. Right? And if it becomes nosar, then it should be included in nosar. Elapshita gidei tzavar. Must be talking about from the neck, which is not considered food. So if you say that it's basar, that's why you need to burn it. But if it's not basar, then what does it need sreifa? Like we just got finished saying on Amud Aleph, bones don't need sreifa. Parts of animals that are tasteless don't need sreifa. Now, really, we could stop here if it wasn't a Friday and discuss the whole gelatin issue, right? Come on, who mounted the gelatin?
Of cornmeal.
Right. So Reb Chaim Oizer, he was going with Reb Chaim Oizer mattered gelatin because it's nothing. It's nothing. Right? Okay, but that's a whole different schmooze now. But anyway,
but he wasn't good enough to listen to Reb Chaim Oizer.
And it's a pella, right? It's a pella, right? Reb Chaim Oizer, that's one pesach of Reb Chaim Oizer.
I feel like we're rehashing something that we did a couple of weeks ago.
Of course, Avada Chazor.
Okay.
But now that we're closer to Pesach, Reb Chaim Oizer also held that corn syrup is not kidneys. Right? Now that would be a good one.
No, we can't listen to him either on that. No.
Yeah, no, we can't. Right? We can't listen. Can't listen to him on that. Would be a good one.
That's a whole Coca-Cola conversation.
That's right.
Coca-Cola, basically, they have all these goyim that wait till they see the yellow cabs just to be able to go back and buy them out because they just want the real deal before they start with the corn syrup.
Correct.
Yuri, it's amazing. Reb Chaim Oizer knew Kol Torah Kula except in those two sugyas. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I don't understand what he missed.
And it's taka pella. It's taka pella. Those we don't go with that.
I was in Eretz Yisrael for Pesach.
In Vilna during it.
I was in Eretz Yisrael for Pesach once. I was sitting in dormitory of Cholamite, and I just bought a whole bunch of bottles of soda. I drank it all 3 to find out. At the end, in Eretz Yisrael, they used kidneys and they put the hefsher on it. I didn't know
it was the Sephardim only. It was the Sephardi only hefsher.
Exactly. Apparently.
All right. There's worse things.
Yeah.
Tiago, did they hold Reb Chaim Oizer in Vilna pre-war?
I have no idea. You're the historian. I have no idea.
I don't know. Everybody eats kidneys, so apparently they hold like Reb Chaim Oizer. Right?
Who? The Sephardim?
No, Ashkenazim also hold eating kidneys. A lot of them in Eretz Yisrael because it's impossible to find food.
No. Reb Chaim Oizer is only saying it by corn syrup. I don't think he's saying it by corn. I think corn syrup, as far as I remember. Okay, whatever it is. Anyway, so the Gemara is saying, so these gidin are in the neck. So if it's meat, so then what's the problem? Right? But meaning if you say that it's meat, then it has to be burned. If it's not meat, then why do you have to burn it? But the thing is like this. It can't be legitimate meat because then we'd have to include it. You can let somebody eat part of it for the korban pesach. So it seems like the Gemara is saying that this somewhere in no man's land. It's meat. It's not meat. Not enough meat. It's somewhere in the middle. So anyway, no, we're talking about the good old gid haneshe. The gid haneshe only applies to one of the legs. The whole iser gid haneshe only applies to one of the animal's legs. And the das seems to say that it should be the right leg. Right? Meaning he's chaylik, he's a das yochid, that we pass where the Mishna says in Chulin that it's both legs. And Rabbi Yehuda holds it's only one leg, and mastama means the right leg. So therefore, that's what this Mishnah is talking about. That's why it's going to need to be burned. Right? Meaning, again, Rabbi Yehuda is saying it seems like it's the right one, but Lamaisa, he doesn't know for sure. So therefore, you're not allowed to have either one. But Lamaisa, it's roi la'achila. It is roi la'achila theoretically if you had the correct one. So since it's roi la'achila, so therefore it does need to be burned. So that's what we're talking about. So it's not talking about the neck. So Gemara says, if that's the case, then we know that Rabbi Yehuda was taka mesupik, right? So was Rabbi Yehuda saying the right Rabbi Yehuda didn't know, and you weren't able to eat it. Because if it was pasha to him, ahi dehatera nechle, like so, eat the one that's mutter, which would be the stomach on the left, and throw away the one on the right. So lama li sreifa still. Why do you need sreifa? Meaning it's saying take one gid haneshe from the left leg and eat it. Take the right gid haneshe and burn it. So I'm saying not burn it, put it away. You don't need sreifa. So right? It's talking about where he recognized which gid it was, and then it got mixed back in. So now that it got mixed back in, so therefore he doesn't know. So it's back to being a suffix. Meaning, so really Rabbi Yehuda didn't know which one we're talking about, or the person knows which one it was, and he thought he had it right, and then he threw it back into the pile of meat. Now is masupik. So obviously it's not bottle because it's a 50-50. So therefore you have to be machma. Right? Ravashi is different teretz, meaning to the original kasha of the stira from the Mishna. No, it's talking about the fats of the gid haneshe. It's not actually talking about the actual gid haneshe. It's talking about the fats. Yeah, meaning, and fats you have to burn. The tanya shamnoi mutter, right? The fat is going to be mutter, right? Meaning the gid haneshe's fat normally is mutter, but Yisrael kodshim, but Yisrael is kodshim, which taka is why maybe we don't pass like Reb Chaim Meiser. I'm just thought about that right now. Yisrael kodshim, even though me'ikar adin it's mutter, right? V'nayigan by iser, at least it's a good excuse. Right? V'nayigan by iser. Right?
You know what I thought of while you were saying the Gemara? Maybe those two chuvas, the gelatin and the corn syrup, that was the chuvas he was writing with at the same time with both hands. So the Olam thought how could he do that? There was something.
Yeah, but which one was he speaking? Which one was he speaking when he was doing that?
Yeah, very good.
The third one.
Who was he talking? Maybe the person he was talking to decided not to ask him like
right.
that. Okay, very good. Yisrael kodshim, and Yisrael's kodshim, and V'nayigan by iser, and V'nayigan iser. Ravina Amar Bechitza, and Ravina says no. It's talking about the outer gid, right? Ukadereb Yehuda Amar Shmuel, like Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Beis Gidin. There's two gidin hein. Pnimi hasamach la'etzem, one closer to the bone, aseh. So that's aseh. V'chayav and alav, and we're chayav on it. Chitzan hasamach lebasar aseh. If it's the outer one, then that's closer to the basar. That's aseh v'ein chayav and alav, and we're not chayav on it. Right. So therefore, he's talking. So since it's a mix-up, so it really could be considered basar, but lemaisa you burn it. Fine. Okay. Chal tezayin, right? Bamai. So meaning what? So what's the Gemara is going to ask? Why are you not? This is different than you were asking Rabbaran, I think. Meaning, why do you need to wait till the 16th day? Why don't you just say it's a aseh doche saseh? It's a mitzvah to burn nosar, and it's a saseh to make a fire on Yom Tov. So Amar Chizkiya v'chein tana tvei Chizkiya Amar Kra loisasiru mimenu ad baiker. Don't leave it over till the morning. But nosar mimenu ad baiker ba'esh tisraifu. Whatever you leave over, you burn it. So that's a lava nitik aseh. Shein tam leimer ad baiker. Why is it saying until the morning? Mat tam leimer ad baiker. So why are you saying the word ad baiker? Litin le baiker sheini l'sreifaseh. It's telling you that there's a second morning, something. And when it's not Yom Tov, you burn it on the first morning. But when it's Yom Tov, there's a second morning that's the proper time to burn it, which is on Chol Hamoed. Right? So meaning, that's why the Torah says an extra ad biker to tell you there's two mornings that you should normally burn. Normally, you burn it the next morning. If you don't, then you do it in the second morning. Abai Omar has a different Torah. It's Omar Kra Oilas Shabbos v'Shabbatoi. It says the oil of Shabbos, you bring on Shabbos. That's how we know that the oil is doche Shabbos, right? Meaning the tamid. V'lo oilas chol b'Shabbos, v'lo oilas chol b'Yom Tov, and not the oil of the chol on Shabbos. V'lo oilas chol b'Yom Tov, and not the oilas chol on Yom Tov. And kosher came that right. So any korbanos that come before Yom Tov don't get burned on Yom Tov. So kosher came that korbanos that were just nosar, for sure don't. So that's the second teretz. Rav Amar Kra hu levada yasa lechem. It says that only that can you do, right? Meaning only stuff that's considered important for Yom Tov are you allowed to do? Hu v'loy machshirav. It's only what you actually need, but not the machshirav. Meaning, if your grill breaks, you can grill on Yom Tov if you put on the fire correctly. But if your grill breaks, you're not allowed to fix the grill because that's not directly connected to the cooking. Levadoi. And what does Levadoi say? Levadoi v'loy mila shaloi bismana. And Levadoi is and not mila shaloi bismana, meaning if a bris falls out on Shabbos, you doche Shabbos, but if it falls out the 9th day falls on Shabbos, you're not. So haba b'kal v'chomer, meaning you would otherwise, if it didn't say the pasuk, you would think that it comes from a kal v'chomer, right? So you would say the same kal v'chomer for burning the nosar. So Kamash on the pasuk is saying that you do not. Rav Ashi Amar Shabbos and Yom Tov esehu. The mitzvah of resting on Yom Tov is a mitzvah aseh. So now we have a mitzvah aseh and a lois aseh. Right? There's a lois aseh to do malach on Yom Tov that's not necessary, and there's a mitzvah aseh to keep Yom Tov. So the ain aseh doche lois aseh ve'aseh, and an aseh is not doche, a lois aseh and an aseh. Okay, all right. 5 o'clock, 10 minutes to go. Okay, we finished.
Motzei Shabbos 8:15.
And Island was complaining.
So what's the other choice?
We'll call it for 8:20. 8:20.
This island complains more than Bnei Yisrael in the midbar.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But you know what? Okay, listen. At least that means they're Yidden, right?
We ate the door down.
There's 1 or 2 people here I have questions about.
8:20. Okay, shkoyach.
Anyway, 8:20, and then we'll
4:15.
4:15. Yes.
I'm gonna on my way to the Young Israel. I'm gonna drop off some masks, some disposable, and some cloths so they could reuse them.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Very kind.
No problem. Be there in a few minutes.
Shabbos,
Have a good Shabbos,
Good
everybody.
Shabbos, everybody.
Have a good Shabbos. Thank you.
Shabbos.
Shabbos.